Alaska is isolated, it's cold, it's dark, but yes, it's beautiful, yes, it's majestic, all of those things. But it was the people that pulled me back and why I wanted to go back there. So that's what Alaska is. Alaska is its people. Well, my name is Jim Whitaker, and I served from 2003 till 2009. My dad worked for a large general contractor, and he was transferred and moved all over the country and all over the world. And as a result, during the 12 years of grade school and high school, I went to 12 different schools. One of those schools was Lathrop High School in Fairbanks, Alaska. And so I had a good experience there, and it was it is the only place that I wanted to go back to after I became an adult and wanted to build my own life. So I chose to do that in Fairbanks, Alaska. Met my beautiful bride, Patricia, also known as Jinx, and we built a wonderful life in Fairbanks, Alaska. It's a difficult place to live. It was not uncommon for it to be 40 below zero, dark most of the time. We have ice fog in Fairbanks, and as a result, it can be a pretty tough place to live. However, what really attracted me were the people. An interesting, divergent group of people who have a credo that is different than any place I've ever experienced. A can-do attitude, a get the hell out of my way attitude, a look out, we've got things to do attitude. I appreciated that very much and wanted to be a small part of that. My best friend and I were drinking moderately one evening, and we were dissatisfied with some of the things that were occurring in the local government. And so he pulled a coin out of his pocket. I'm sure it was double-headed, but he pulled it out and he said, "Call it." And I did. And it was not heads, it was tails. I had called heads. And so I lost the coin toss, which meant that I then had to run for office. And I did. That was the first experience, and I planned to get out after one term because we were able to do some things. This was at the Fairbanks City Council level. We were able to do some things that I was pretty proud of relative to downtown, relative to a couple of other issues. And I felt pretty good about it and was going to leave, and then a good friend of mine said, "Well, you need to run for the state legislature." The first task is to establish trust between yourself and the people who voted for you. And you do that by firstly being competent, and secondly being honest, and thirdly maintaining integrity, even if it hurts. And when I say even if it hurts, we all make mistakes. That said, it's not a part-time job, it's not a full-time job, it's a double-time job. You are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anything that happens is your responsibility, and so you deal with it. Oftentimes at the detriment of family time, which certainly occurred. Fortunately, my wife understood, and she never questioned. It also is a detriment, certainly was, to our own business. I was not able to spend the hours per day overseeing my personal business that I should have. So it's a commitment, and it's not a halfway commitment. Once you're in, you're in. I served in the state legislature in the House of Representatives. There are 40 members of the House, 20 members in the Senate. I served in the House for 3 terms, but really 2.5, because I ran for mayor halfway through my third term, which was going to be it for me. I was done. I wanted out. There was an effort that I was a part of to find an acceptable mayoral candidate. And a group of people, myself included, had met for months trying to find that person. We thought we had the person. That person agreed. 2 days before the end of the filing period, that person decided not to run. And so we were stuck. And I said, well, what the hell? Something's got to change. I'll do it. And I did. But I had no intention of running for mayor. That was the circumstance that put me in that position. Shortly after I was elected as mayor, we had an event referred to as the Boundary Fire. In Fairbanks, we have huge land masses around us that are empty space. And the jurisdiction relative to those empty spaces is either federal or state or local. And when the two boundaries come together, for example, federal and state, that can be a problem because then it's an argument of, well, who's responsible? It's a silly argument. And by the way, it's no longer argued. The Boundary Fire took care of that because it was the largest fire in the history of Alaska. Over 1 million acres was on fire at one time. Thousands of firefighters came from all over the country to deal with it. We got through that, but the city itself was at real risk of being engulfed by this enormous fire. We got through that. We were able to get through that by bringing together the state, the federal government, local governments. We dealt with it. And as a result of that, today we have expanded fire service areas throughout the borough. We also have fire breaks. If you fly over Fairbanks today, you'll see huge fire breaks that have been established so that as something of that nature would occur again, it could not engulf the city, the major population areas. Another important issue in Fairbanks was the closure of Eielson Air Force Base. 12% of the entire borough economy related directly to Eielson Air Force Base. It was put on a BRAC list, base realignment, essentially closure. Base realignment and closure commission. It was being BRAC'd. It was being shut down. It would have destroyed the Fairbanks economy. Values of real estate would have plummeted, businesses would have gone out of business, it would have been an economic disaster. Once you're on the list, it's almost impossible to get off. But we had no choice but to fight, and we did. And in fact, my quote in the newspaper was, "We're going to fight like hell." And the BRAC Commission left Eielson Air Force Base open. And today, it has 2 squadrons of F-35s. It is a real success story. Again, we had a problem, we dealt with it, we brought people together, and we were successful. It's a wonderful thing to have watched, and it was a real highlight of my life to be the mayor of the Fairbanks North Star Borough.